How's it going, everyone? If you saw my live stream a couple weeks ago, then you already know that I picked the 77-inch G1. So if I didn't have as many HDMI 2.1 devices and also need to have support for Dolby Vision gaming and all the other stuff that LG supports, then I would have probably stuck with the 77-inch A80J. I was looking forward to the X95J and 85 inches as well, but I had to get something sooner and couldn't wait for that to come out. And after having the QN90A, it just made me realize I can't go back to an LCD after having OLED. My viewing environment is at most moderately bright, typically rather dark or just completely dark, and that's where just nothing can beat OLED right now. So I wanted to go bigger, but I didn't think the price was worth it for the 83 C1 over the 77 G1 when you're also getting a drop in brightness. So this one just seemed to fit me best. I was going through some footage of stuff that I had recorded and not done anything with yet, and so here's just a quick little couple clips of getting the 77-inch LG G1, and then going to do just a quick little setup video for this and go over some differences between it and the 65-inch. So sorry for the graininess and low quality of this clip right here. This was recorded on my cell phone, not my actual camera. So I also didn't realize that I had the box facing the wrong direction, so after this I had to spin it around. So just keep that in mind when you are opening a box, because it's a pretty big box and my floor isn't that big, so it's kind of a pain. Anyway, here's just the stuff that comes with it: the stand, remote, the IR blasters, paperwork, and so on. The 77-inch LG OLED boxes have these clips on both sides, and then it opens like this on both sides, so you can just pull the whole box, either the front or the back off, or both, and then it'll just stand there in the foam, which is quite nice. And then also what I did was just cut a hole for my VESA mount brackets and then put those on, and then I can just lift it straight on while having all the protection still on there. However, that's my bias lighting kit, which I had to put on anyway. So aside from just size differences, this is from the 65-inch, and you can see that it was just over 6700K out of the box with too much blue and a little too much red. And then the 77-inch is quite a bit different, actually much warmer at around 6300K with not enough blue and not enough green. And then the measured white points on the 77 was .316 by .3315, whereas the 65 was .309 by .3223. And then here is the 65-inch out of the box pre-cal measurement, and you can see quite a bit of grayscale errors and separation in the RGB balance. But then on the 77-inch, it's a lot better, much closer to D65 out of the box, and less RGB balance separation. So just something else to keep in mind when deciding if you should spend extra money on the bigger screen. You get a little bit better out of the box. Alright, so I'm going to just run through some quick basic setup settings, pretty much the same as any size G1 or C1. So first, going to change out of the auto power save mode. Just use expert bright for now. Going to enable eARC with pass-through audio. You go to eARC, toggle that on. Digital sound output, change that to pass-through. Under general, I want to make sure no AI settings are enabled, but you'll have to check this again when putting on HDR or Dolby Vision content. Checking the TV information, there's 116 hours on this TV. Here's external devices controls. You have your HDMI settings for deep color. So you want that enabled for newer devices on each port. And then you have your CEC control here. Then here's home settings. We can disable the home auto launch stuff. Here's pointer options if you want to change anything about the pointer. Check for a new update, but I already have the current one. I disable screen move as it cuts a little bit of the resolution and crops the image a little bit so that it can move it around. And then I turn logo brightness off so that there's no dimming. And then turn energy save off. Alright, and then in this menu you can edit. So let's say this one I don't want. I can get rid of it. I don't use the sound settings, so I can get rid of that one. The networking one I actually do use sometimes, but really don't need it there, so get rid of that. And I don't need this here. Now if I wanted to add any additional settings, here's more stuff you can add. And here we have pointer size, the tracking speed, high contrast mode, screen off if you just want to have the screen off but the TV remain on to have audio come through, turn off the standby light. That's all I need for there. Alright, so if you hit the mute button a few times, you can bring up this menu. And you can toggle this so that it doesn't show the LG logo when you turn off the TV. If you hit the red button here, it will reset all of your settings. Then if you have a remote to go into the service menu, you press Instart and then enter the password, which is 0413. If you go down to OLED and disable TPC and GSR, that'll disable the automatic static brightness limiter for calibration. Under aspect ratio, personally, if there's something that's not 16:9, I like to show it in its original form so it's not stretched or cut. So I'll go to color, change this to auto detect, keep the color temperature at warm 50. Although on the 77-inch G1, warm 50 is a little bit warmer than D65, so you could set it to 45. The clarity, turn sharpness to 0. Smooth gradation on SDR content really doesn't make much of a difference, but you can put it on low. Motion settings, I'm going to disable. In cinema screen, I turn off just because some content it does skip frames every now and then. Apply to all inputs. Now if you want to force an input to a PC input, you come to this home dashboard. I hate these little pop-ups. You come up here to the three dots and you edit input. And so this one will be my PC, so I'm going to change this icon to PC. And save. Alright, so I'm going to start up some Dolby Vision content so I can access Dolby Vision settings. and there's really not much to change here. Pretty much just leave it all alone, except for clarity settings. We do need to pull this down. And I do not recommend having smooth gradation turned on for Dolby Vision. The reason being is it hardly makes any difference in the first place, except you do lose some very, very fine detail. And in Dolby Vision content, I have not seen it make a difference because Dolby Vision uses dithering to clear up posterization in the sky and wherever you would see those issues. So smooth gradation definitely not needed for Dolby Vision content in any that I have seen. And again, got to go to AI service, disable these settings. And once you do that, you can turn off True Motion so that you can access Cinema Screen. Apply to all inputs. Now I need HDR content to do the HDR settings. And so for HDR, I'm going to use Cinema, Cinema Home, and Filmmaker. They're all the same if you have the settings the same. They all measured out perfectly, or pretty much exactly the same for me. I'm going to turn off tone mapping. Make sure that color gamut is auto, color depth is 50, and that white balance is warm 50. And turn that down, turn this off, this off. Now in HDR content, I will leave smooth gradation to low, or maybe even medium. I don't really see much difference between low and medium when it comes to detail being washed away or blurred away, however you want to say that. But the little bit of posterization that I can make out, there's a minimal help when setting it to medium. And if you set it to high, you can notice a bigger effect, but it does wash out detail a lot. So I'm going to use medium. Cinema Screen off. True Motion off. Apply to all inputs. Can do this. Tone mapping I would have on HGIG for all gaming devices that support it. Gonna turn color down to 50. Keep it at auto. Change the color temp. Apply that to all inputs. And for SDR gaming, now turning this up will clip colors a little bit, but if you need that extra SDR gaming brightness, it's pretty much your only option. So that's why I would leave color depth at 55, just so that it doesn't cut the color too much, but it still does some. Just a trade-off you have to make for that little extra brightness in SDR game mode only. It's the only time that I would do that. And that's that. That should cover pretty much most of what you need. Just basic out-of-the-box stuff. more detailed stuff will be coming later, but that puts you 95% of the way there. Alright, so I'll be working on more setting videos soon, so thanks for watching, and have a good one.